So in our previous example, we talked about how even though we have previous experience with stimuli, it doesn't it just doesn't matter with that. But it also matters whether these stimuli make meaning. And in this experiment by Gibson and Peterson in 1994, they just showed exactly that. They got a silhouette of a woman here in the black, and they had two figures. One was the woman was upright, and the woman was upside down. And when they showed this to participants for for a short time, people were able to recognize the woman easier in this figure than in this figure, and it just shows us how meaningfulness can influence the assignment of an area as figure. Means that the process of recognition must be occurring either before or at the same time as the figure is being separated from the ground. So it's not only enough that we know we've encountered what the silhouette of a woman is, but it has to make sense. And an inverted woman is not the typical orientation of a woman in the natural world. So that kind of proves to us how stimuli not only has to we don't experience alone is not enough for us to for us to perceive things, but also the stimuli has to make sense. So before we move on to our next concept, we I'm just going to talk about quickly about this picture. So in this picture, we can see two horses and a forest. However, let's focus on this first. And if you haven't noticed by now, but it looks like a face, and there are 13 faces in this scene, and this shows us how perceptual organization can change over a period of time as we gather more and more uh, information about the scene, and it shows that perceptual organization of these rocks can change over time given information that previously did not have. Now we have, but after we're given this information that this is a face, we cannot no longer unsee it. So next, we're going to talk about scenes. So these are scenes are real world environment that contains background elements and multiple objects. And objects are acted upon while scenes are where action takes place. So for example, the objects of this scene are Simba, Rafiki, and Simba's parents. And the scene is Pride Rock. And this is a famous scene where Rafiki shows off Simba to all the animals in their community. So Rafiki is acting upon Simba in this sense. So let's start with a quick game. Four pictures, one word, and it's a movie. Pause it if you want to think about it, but the answer is up. So, the balloon house, the old man, and Kevin Hart because the bird they found in Paradise Falls was named Kevin. So, perceiving the gist of a scene. So, identifying a scene when only given a short time to view it. And these pictures represent the gist of the movie Up. And the reason why we were and this study by Fei Fei et al. In 2007 showed us that even simply given us 67 milliseconds to view a scene, we can actually make out a lot about the scene. So just like this, we were only given four pictures about the movie Up, but most of us, hopefully, were able to guess the movie. So what she did was an important thing called masking. Due to the persistence of vision images, they stay until even if the stimuli is extinguished. This is solved by presenting another stimulus other than the stimulus that is being studied. So, for example, here, girl clapping, that is the target picture. So, girl clapping, so you only want to show it for 250 milliseconds. However, it stays in our retina and stays in our brain. The image of this girl clapping will stay even after it's extinguished for another 100 milliseconds. So, in order for it to only stay for 250 milliseconds, we have to present another stimulus that has nothing to do in order to fully extinguish the girl clapping. And what what they found about gists of scene is that there are global image features, a study done by Olivia and Toralba. Global features are information that allows people to identify scenes based on the gist. Our past experiences play a role in determining our perception. So the features are holistic and rapidly perceived and take in the scene as a whole. So a lot of their features use the example of ocean. So we're going to use this one. First one is degree of naturalness. So what this means is scenes with textures and curves, undulating contours, and natural scenes have undulating contours, while man-made scenes, such as roads, are dominated with straight lines and horizontals and verticals. More strict, more 90-degree straight lines. Next is degree of openness. So it talks about how visible a horizon and contains few objects, and also they are very small. So there's a degree of openness here. Talks about they talk about the ocean again because there's a visible horizon over there and contains only a few objects. And degree of roughness, it talks about the amount and size of the objects in the scene. And they say that natural scenes such as the ocean again have few objects, and the size of these objects are usually very small. So and man-made scenes like the streets, buildings, scenes like that are usually more bigger and more complex. And the third one is degree of rough. Fourth one is degree of expansion. So how parallel lines in a scene converge. So in again natural scenes such as the ocean, parallel lines, how they converge, and parallel lines in natural settings usually converge open. So there it's more in a way expansive rather than man-made scenes. However, it can in man-made scenes it can also expand depending what your viewpoint is, where you're looking at. And lastly, color. Certain colors are associated to certain scenes, such as blue again for ocean, and maybe gray for road. All these features adhere to certain norms, and we use this to perceive scenes. And these features that occur frequently are called regularities in the environment. So we move on to regularities in the environment. So there are two kinds: um, physical regularities and semantic regularities. So physical regularities, they are physical properties of the environment. They are more they concern more the orientations, whether it's vertical, horizontal, or angled, and colors that are homogeneous are considered as part of the same object. So in this example, we see here an office scene. So physical regularities are the computer, the how it's a square, and also the square how the desk is shaped, and so on and so forth, like what their clothes. So the sweater is since this whole area is colored, so people the physical we would see that as the part of the same object. So an interesting concept under physical regularities is light from above perception. um, is the assumption that light comes from above the object, thus creating an appearance of bulging out. So as you can see in this figure, these are the same set of footprints. One is just inverted, and one is just upright. And as you can see, in the heel in this upright photo, it seems indented. However, in this figure, it seems that the heel is bulging out. Next one is semantic regularities. These are characteristics associated with certain functions carried out in a scene. So if I ask you to describe what you can see in an office, you would probably say one of these things. And if I asked you to describe what you could see in a kitchen, you would probably say one of these things as well. Maybe a knife, corkscrew, whatever. The idea between physical regularities and semantic regularities is this: physical regularities is what is there, what is actually in the scene, and semantic regularities are what is expected to be present in the scene.